I'm Josie Lywood from Georgian Townhouse and welcome to my home in West London. Let me show you around. So I live here with my husband, my daughter who's 1, and my funny dog Winnie. The property is Georgian, so it was actually built in 1717, so there's so much history here. When we first bought the property in 2020, a lot of the original features were actually covered up. So the wood floor that we've now sanded and stained that you can see is the original wood floor. That was covered with carpet and covered with laminate flooring. So we've lifted all of that up to really expose the original architecture and original features of the house. So when we first moved into the house, this was actually the dining room, and the space to the left of me was the kitchen. But we've since reconfigured the space and this has now become the living areas. The room is north facing, so we've embraced that really and kind of gone quite dark with the wall colour, and then kept the original dado and the original panelling below, which is in a bit of a lighter tone. The fireplace over here, a lot of this was covered up when we moved in. So all of the tiles that you see, these are original, and they, when we moved in, were covered in black paint. And one evening I just scratched away at it, sort of hoping that something was underneath, and magically they appeared, which was such a fun find. The floors in here were also fully carpeted when we moved in, with carpet and then laminate as well. And when we lifted all of that up, we also discovered the marble hearth that's here, which is again a really beautiful original piece of the house. A lot of my furniture is sort of a mix of more antique pieces with some more modern new pieces. So these chairs are antiques I've had recovered. The grandfather clock belonged to my great-grandfather, and it was actually built the same year that this house was built. So it kind of felt quite suited to be kept in here in like a prime space in the living room. So I've got some quite fun pieces of art in here as well. So this painting over here is a watercolour of me and Winnie that was given to me for my birthday by my parents a few years ago. And it's just really fun, and I love having a bit of Winnie in here as always. This room originally was the kitchen when we moved into the house, but we've now converted it into like a TV snug, like really cozy room. We spend a lot of our time on the weekends in here. It's got the TV and the big sofa. I wanted to kind of still separate these two rooms rather than having just a really big open plan living room, just so it kind of gives that option of having it closed as 2 separate spaces or as one, especially when there's lots of people here. It's nice to be able to separate them. The scheme in here, I wanted to keep it as a slightly different scheme to the front room, but it still obviously needed to complement each other. And I love this green colour. It's called Breakfast Room Green by Farrow & Ball. And to make it really cosy and a kind of warm, snug vibe, we've got picture lights on the wall and an array of kind of collection of prints and posters that we've collected over the years, and kind of done a bit of picture wall above the sofa. And I always wanted a stripy sofa. I think I saw an image of one and I just was like, I really want a stripy sofa, so that's what we kind of inspired the stripiness in here. Now we finished on the ground floor, let me show you downstairs to the kitchen. When we moved into the property, these were 2 separate rooms and they were actually bedrooms. And yeah, we knew we wanted to move the kitchen down here and move the bedrooms upstairs and just make it a much more conventional family home layout. One of the challenges that we had was that this house is listed. So a lot of people assume that if your house is listed, then it's only the external that is protected, but it's also the internals. If you want to remove any walls or relocate anything like bathrooms and kitchens, then you do need to get listed building consent. So we had to prepare all the plans, we had to get a heritage expert to write a report, and we had to submit all of that for approval before we could start any works. The kitchen is quite compact, so much thought went into designing every centimetre of space and just really maximising the full use of space. I designed this all to the millimetre, and we used a kitchen company called Fitzroy & Finch who did the cabinetry after I designed it. Because it is a basement space, I really didn't want it to feel dark and gloomy down here. I wanted to go for a bit more of colour and kind of really brighten it and make it feel like a really light, and like ultimately it's our family home, it's a kitchen that we spend a lot of time in, so I wanted it to feel like a really happy place and not just a gloomy basement. We went for this bright yellow colour. It's called Citron. Part of the inspiration from that was the Le Creuset collection. We had a few bits and pieces from it, like this pot, and that's sort of where the colour inspiration started. Let me talk you through some of the details in the kitchen. So this is the main sink run. It was important for me to keep all the plumbing on this side because of the listing of the house, and running pipes and everything is much more challenging. All the plumbing had to stay on this side. So we've got dishwasher and sink, everything that requires plumbing along here. We've got the sink in the centre, and then we've got the glass display cabinets on either side, and a lot of soft LED lighting. And all the metalwork in here is antique brass, so it's actually unlacquered, so it changes over time, and it gives this quite rustic look. The island I wanted to keep clear of the services, so no plumbing, no electrics, so that we didn't have to run anything into the floor. I wanted to make it feel a bit lighter, so it's on legs, just to kind of give a bit more space on the floor. The archway over here is an original feature, so that was part of the original house, so we had to keep that, and it looks great with the kitchen as well. And it's a perfect spot for our range cooker, which fits really neatly in there. We then had two really deep alcoves either side of this chimney breast. So we have built a bespoke pantry cupboard on this side, which has pocket doors that can slide in, LED lighting in it, and it's a great space to house all of our kind of smaller appliances like the coffee machine, Maggi mixers, microwave, and then you can close it again at the end of the day when you don't want to see it. So over here we have an integrated fridge freezer. Again, such a good find that I was actually able to get one that fit perfectly, which is just really lucky. But yeah, so we've got fridge and then freezer drawer underneath. Leaving the kitchen, this is the dining area. We have another chimney breast on this side, again with some deep alcoves. So we fitted this one with a bar cabinet. With a wine fridge below, and then we've just got some shelving above, and this is a rattan wallpaper with a pattern in it just to give it a bit more interest in there. This is the dining space. I really wanted it to feel really cozy and like a homely, comfortable dining space, so we put in a bench seat which is really deep and it slots really nicely underneath the window. So that window space becomes almost like a sofa with lots of big cushions, and it's such a comfy space in the evening to chill out and have dinner. And then this light is a rise and fall pendant, so you can lower it if you want a bit more light in the evening. So just pull it down, it can go a little bit lower. And the dining table has got a solid oak top, so it's just a really nice rustic piece of wood, lots of knots in it. Lastly, on this floor, we have a bathroom and also this really handy utility cupboard where we have a washing machine and tumble dryer and space for like cleaning equipment and the ironing board and things like that. So into the bathroom, this was quite a tight space to design. We have a shower at the back, and then we have the kind of guest loo and the vanity unit here. I really wanted to do a patterned floor, but it had to complement the checkerboard floor tiles. So we went for this green star patterned tile for the floor, and then tied in that green with the beading that's shown on the walls, mixed in with some marble and some white ceramic tiles. I wanted to paint the walls and the ceiling all in the same colour, and this is one of my favourite colours from Byron Ball called Denims. One thing I really like about my bathroom is that we've kind of done again like a mix of the traditional elements tied in with the more contemporary. So we have the traditional style sanitary ware with the antique brass details on the taps and on the toilet, and then the tiling, it's kind of made it look a bit more contemporary. Before we go upstairs, let me show you into the garden. The garden was only renovated about 6 months ago. Before that, it was very much a jungle. So we've laid the patio using some of the original stones that were here, and we planted the grass and the flowers that you can see. We've also recently put in a studio at the end of the garden, which my husband uses working from home. It's such a nice space to have, especially now we have a 1-year-old. We've only really been using the garden for the last few months, and it's just been so nice to have and such a relaxing space to chill out in at the weekends, especially when the weather is as nice as this. And yeah, we feel very lucky to have this space in London especially. On this floor there are 2 bedrooms. This is the master bedroom, which I'll show you first. Originally this was the living room when we first moved into the house, and when we did the reconfiguration we wanted to move all the bedrooms up here. We did actually paint it in a much more neutral colour to start with, and the room just felt so gloomy. I think because it's north facing, it doesn't get that much natural light, and it just did not really work. So instead we went for this much richer red earth tone, it's called red earth paint colour, which really gives the room like a kind of cosy, warming feel to it. And I think it just complements the original architecture much better. This originally would have been a window when the property was first built, but for those of you that don't know, there was a thing called window tax that was applied in the UK, and people were taxed per number of windows that they had in their houses, and consequently a lot of windows got bricked up. So that is exactly what would have happened here. Hundreds of years ago probably. And for the curtains in here, I wanted to use this pattern fabric, but didn't really have the budget to use it for the entire curtains because you have to buy a lot of fabric when you're making curtains. So I've just applied it to the bottom. We have another original fireplace in this room. It is a functioning fireplace, so we can light it. It also has a lot of this carved wood detail onto it, and the hearth and the marble surround. We have some artwork in here which again is quite traditional in style. So this is a sketch. It was actually done by my great-great-grandfather. And then we have some little bronze sculptures that are just hanging suspended on the walls here in between the windows. Let me show you into my daughter's bedroom. This room was actually painted a very similar yellow when we moved into the house, and it's a south-facing room and it gets so much light, and I just really loved that the yellow works so well in here, so we didn't remove that, we just gave it a new lease of life with a few extra coats. We also installed this wall mural above the cot. This was a made-to-order wall mural to fit the space exactly. It's a peel and stick. I actually stuck it up myself when I was really pregnant, which was not fun. And I chose it because it's just really cute. It's got some really pretty animals in it, and my daughter loves like pointing at the different animals, like the penguins and the lions. It's really fun. We also have another antique chair in here, which is a little child's rocking chair that was owned by some of my great-grandparents, and it's just been reupholstered in a more contemporary fabric, still with the animal theme running through the room. And this little bench seat was made by my grandfather, but reupholstered fairly recently as well. This is our toy giraffe. One of my clients actually gave this to me. It belonged to her son, who is now in his 20s, and she really kindly gifted it to me when she knew that I was pregnant. So he's got a good space in this room, and my daughter loves stroking him before she goes to bed. We have one more floor upstairs. We've got 2 bedrooms and a bathroom, but they are works in progress. I'm not going to show you those today. Maybe come back next year and we can show those. But I do want to just point out the painting that we have on the stairs. It's a massive picture. This is a painting of my great-grandfather, painted by my great-great-grandfather. The reason that we have this is because he was a famous Scottish painter. And this piece is actually unfinished, so you can still see some of the canvas through it. And it's such a large piece. This was the only wall in the house that it would fit. Yeah, and we feel so lucky to still have a lot of these pieces still in the family. Things like the grandfather clock and some of the antique chairs that we have all belong to him. And yeah, so it's so nice to still have those within the family. Thank you so much for coming on the tour with me today. I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you would like to know more about me or see some of the other projects that I've worked on, please check us out at qdesignhouse.com. Really hope that we get to see you again soon on another tour. Bye.